Welcome to our world. Won't you come on in? Waiting just for you. Welcome to our world.
Now I started recording. Ha!
Great. Okay.
All right.
I would like to... Do you have any hidden talents?
Hidden talents?
Yes, that's what I said.
I don't think so. All my talents are really out there for all to see.
All right, we'll talk about mine then.
Okay.
My hidden talent, which I realized yesterday. Actually, I realized it a while ago, but I didn't really process it until yesterday. Is that I'm really good at word searches. And when I say really good, I don't mean like decent. I mean, I literally, as we were watching the Phillies game yesterday and I was doing this random word search that Nana had just given me, I look at a word on the list, like, I don't know, whatever the words were. And my eye goes to the puzzle. And within like a second and a half, I'm finding words.
Wow.
And then it made me think back to when I was in high school. And in Miss Martini's class, she used to give us crosswords to do all the time.
Yes.
And I remember that I won't call out people specifically, even though I've just called out Miss Martini, but that's fine. The classmates that sat behind me and next to me
Who cheated off you.
cheat off of me on these crosswords. And it never really clicked that I was just really, or not crosswords, really good at word searches. I don't know. That's my hidden talent.
You know those little things that you put the shapes through?
Like for
Squares?
babies? Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you want to call them that. I mean, I'm really good at those.
That's good for you.
I'm just saying, I am so much better than the babies.
Have you seen the video of there's a guy that is picking up, the different shapes? And he's like, have you seen this? He's like a square that'll go in the square hole. He's like,
I saw it, but it's a woman doing it.
A circle that'll go in the square hole. And all of the shapes fit through the square hole. It's like, well, anyway, the point. Okay.
Yeah.
So today, on a completely unrelated note, our episode topic.
See, that's thinking out of the box, though. It's like, yes, you can fit them all through there. Just
it is.
with a hammer, you can do it too.
Okay.
Hammer. Go ahead.
We will be discussing...
I thought you were going to say we'll be appearing live.
No, but I was thinking we really should plan a live thing. We'll think about it.
Someday.
Maybe for our 100th episode.
Maybe for my 100th birthday.
It's like that's 30 episodes from now or 20 some episodes from now. We should plan. We'll plan.
We can plan, but never actually
okay.
carry.
As I do with most events in my life. All right. So we will be... I want to make this really clear, okay? Because I know what you're going to do.
Go ahead.
And this is not a general AI conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
This is specifically because, to shout out Uncle Brian, he had suggested that we do... What?
I think it's funny because when you say these things, like Aunt JoJo, Uncle Brian, it's kind of like Uncle Ben's rice. It's like
Aunt Jemima.
Now, yes, he will forever be known as Uncle Brian to the masses,
to the world.
Now.
Well, yeah,
okay,
because everybody's seeing this through my
like you're
point
not
of view.
saying my Uncle Brian, my Aunt JoJo.
Everybody is living vicariously.
Yes. Okay.
Right now.
All right, go ahead.
Right. So he had suggested the subject of people having a first conversation with ChatGPT, especially the older generation, as a podcast discussion. First, I thought it would be interesting because I do want to talk about like the generational differences and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But just with ChatGPT and other, what are those called? LLMs, large language models. Yes, thank you. Like that. ChatGPT, Grok, whatever all the other ones are now. Because I feel like you have very different reactions from people in general when these started coming out. And now that they've done a lot of things with them, you have people like you that fully embrace them and you use, from what I've seen, you use it for pretty much everything. It's kind of your Google now. Because
I think when you say people like you, what you meant to say is visionaries. Visionaries.
Okay, no, but here's the thing, because I'm not talking about there are people that like it and embrace it, and there are people that are scared of it. That's not what I'm saying. Obviously, there are a lot of different reactions, but I'm talking about, in my opinion, the two main ones are you either embrace it completely or you reject it completely on the basis of it takes away human thought and human creativity, and it replaces things that only humans should be able to do.
Right. Well, you're talking right. You have in other words, you have either a positive reaction or a negative reaction.
Because to clarify, part of the reason people think that art has meaning is because the artist has a vision and a message to get across.
Yeah.
And so the argument is with, and I guess we're kind of just jumping right into this right now, but like the argument is with AI, it can't feel. It's literally only regurgitating information that has already been done, and art that has already been created. And so how is it art if part of art is creating something that's meaningful to you?
Okay. I feel like if we keep going down this path, we're going to be getting into the whole AI discussion again, which I could do that all day long. But
I'm just saying a lot of people use ChatGPT for stuff like that to generate.
And I actually just saw, not to get off on a tangent, but just since you mentioned that, I literally just saw something where the TV studios and all, it said basically what they're going to be doing is they're going to be taking all these old series, like Gilligan's Island, for instance, and they're going to create new episodes totally created by AI.
I don't like that at all.
I'm not saying, I'm not commenting on whether I like it or whether I don't like it. I have very mixed feelings about it, right? But I guess my point is we're there. They can do that now, right? So initially,
should they?
Right,
the answer is no.
Right. Well, because initially it was like, okay, wow, look at this. AI can write a song. Wow, AI can make a script. Like we used to joke about, what was the series that we would joke about? It said ChatGPT writes an episode of Gilmore Girls, right?
Because those were really funny.
but it literally just had the word, right? It had literally the typed script, and it had pictures of Gilmore Girls, right?
Yes.
That fit in. Well, now they could turn around and they could literally make it. And you wouldn't know that it wasn't the original actors. No. And I'm not, like I said, my only point when I'm saying this is to say that we're there. It can be done today.
I'm not saying it can't be. I'm
not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just,
I guess I'm suggesting, I feel like the usage for things like, I mean, obviously AI in general, but things like ChatGPT and Grok and all that, I see the usage as more solving things that we have not been able to solve.
Right.
I don't really see, except that, I mean, there are two main reasons I can see for people wanting to use ChatGPT, and I'm just going to keep saying ChatGPT to cover all of these LLMs instead of, referring to 50 million of them. The two main reasons for using ChatGPT that I can see are laziness. You don't want to write your own essay. You don't want to, figure out whatever on your own, and you just want something else to give you the answer right away. Or money, because you're talking about them potentially remaking Gilligan's Island, or not remaking, but having new episodes and all this stuff. It's like, okay, well, the only reason that you would do that is because you would make more money off of it. You're not doing that for your own enjoyment.
Money is a driver behind all of that kind of stuff.
I know.
Right?
And so my point is, I don't think, in my opinion, in an ideal world, ChatGPT should be used to solve things that are unsolvable for us, not to do things because you're lazy or greedy. And that's where I have the issue.
Yeah. Well, yeah, without getting too far into that, I just want to back up a second to the original comment, suggestion, which was people's first reaction when they use ChatGPT, right? And just sort of a broader sense, it was negative or positive, right? I think when I first used it, it was like, oh my God, this is like
revolutionary.
Wild. And I don't necessarily mean, and again, I don't mean in a good way or a bad way, but I was like blown away. Like, this is weird. And then so I kind of start taking it to the next level and thinking about some of the things that you talked about, like the good that can come out of this, like curing diseases, right? And, math problems that have been unprovable or unsolvable.
Or just new math theorems
well, that's what I'm
we
saying.
haven't even thought of.
And I'm not talking things that have been like unable to be solved or proven for, 20 years. I'm talking about 1,000 years.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you could do that.
Like the Voynich manuscript that we were talking about.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect case
in episode in a different
69 Unexplained Mysteries.
Okay. So I mean that was my reaction, right?
Yes.
Other people and because I remember all this, it kind of always amazes me that everyone doesn't have that reaction, right? And I'm joking when I say about visionary, but I kind of feel like, how do you not see the possibilities here, right? When the internet first came out, you have people that embraced it and used it for their jobs, and you have people that were like, yeah, I don't get it, kind of, no big deal, right? Whether, in the next 5-10 years, who knows how many of these jobs AI is going to take away. But at least for now, I feel like the people who understand how to use it as a tool will be way better off than the people who just, no, I don't like it, it's no good, because you can do that, but there are going to be other people that are going to be like all in on it.
It's going to be there anyway.
And
I think there's always going to be a subset of the population, though, that completely rejects it just on the principle that they don't think it belongs in certain
I think short term
places.
I think short term you're right. Longer term, I just don't see.
I don't remember, because I know I've said this to you, and I don't remember if I specifically said this when we were talking about AI the first time. But even if a song written by AI is good, once I find that out, not that I won't listen to it, but I'm still going to be much more interested in songs by actual people.
Right.
For that emotional
What if it gets
connection.
to the point? What if it gets to the point where you cannot differentiate between a person and AI? And what I mean by that is the AI sounds like it really has feelings.
I know. But you know it doesn't.
No,
and
but how do you know? But you don't. My point is, if it gets to the point that you don't really know.
I said if I listen to a song and I like it, and then I find out that it's AI, so that's assuming I don't know it's AI the first time I listen to it. I think that's extremely possible. There are a lot of it's already super advanced, and it's continuing its advancement exponentially. So that's happening right now. Like, I'm not saying that's a future thing. Like, that's literally already happening with songs and with...
Yeah. No, I know that, but then...
But it loses its meaning when I find out it's AI.
You're a speciesist. You're biased against AI.
No, I'm saying that I prefer the reason here, and then we need to get past this and talk about like the actual subject. But the reason people consume art, the reason I read a book or watch a movie or listen to a song is, let's say listen to a song, for example. The reason I listen to a song, sometimes it's because it just has a nice beat and you like listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I listen to songs because I feel an emotional connection to the song, to the person that wrote it.
Right.
Like you when you're listening to like a Noah Kahan song, okay? Like Stick Season. You remember that one?
No.
Love Vermont, but it's the season of the sticks, and No? Okay, I'll play this later. Anyway, I remember the first time I listened to that song, and I put off listening to that song for so long because I knew I was going to cry, and it was an emotional time in my life. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But when I listened to that song for the first time, the words themselves are super emotional, right? So you could argue, well, AI could write super emotional lyrics like this too. Yes. However, what makes you cry when you're listening, or I'll speak for myself, what makes me cry when I'm listening to a song like that is not that the lyrics are like, oh my gosh, these are so sad and so relatable. It's that someone felt the exact way that I feel in this moment and was somehow able to put their emotions into words and to a melody and to harmonies and all this to perfectly explain how I'm feeling right now. That is why I consume music. You know what I mean? And so even if AI could, like you asked ChatGPT, create a song in the style of Noah Kahan that's similar to Stick Season.
Something, yeah.
I'll like the song, but you tell me it's AI, I'm going to be like, okay, well, It's a nice song, but I'm never going to cry to this song. Like, it's just not going to happen.
I get that. I get what you're saying, but let's say, for instance, for movies, right? You would say the same thing, I'm assuming, right? Like if you went to see a movie and you found out none of it was real. It was all created start to finish by AI. The actors, the script, the music, everything.
It ruins it.
So what happens, and it may not happen, well, it won't happen in the next couple of years, but what happens if X number of years down the road, every single movie,
and I'm sure that'll happen at some point.
And I'm not completely sure, but
honestly, by some point, I mean hundreds of years from now.
Do you just not ever watch a movie or a TV show again?
Here's
do
the
you
thing.
just? What do you do?
Personally, let's say we reach that, and I know this is completely unrealistic. Let's say we reach that point in 5 years, where literally all art and all media is completely AI, right? What am I going to do personally? I'm going to continue to listen to things that I've listened to my whole life that have been created by real people.
Right.
That's what I'm going to do. Right. So I'm not going to be like, well, this is all the new media I can consume.
Don't you think, though, that will also be a generational thing? Don't you think?
Yes.
Like if somebody was born and all they ever heard was AI stuff, it'll be second nature to them.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If we're talking hundreds of years from now, assuming that AI is just creating everything and that's all that you can consume, I think there are going to be generations where that's all you know. And so it's like...
So here's the thing that worries me. When I talk about, like I said, I in general am excited about the possibilities, the good things that can come from AI, like curing diseases and things. The thing that kind of worries me is, okay, if AI can completely create music or movies or whatever, the executives / rich people at the top, most of those people are not philanthropic and they just say, I want to create a company that will employ lots of people, right?
Right.
They're doing it because a lot of them, the money's the driver.
Yeah.
A lot of it, the power is the driver, which power, money, it's kind of go hand in hand. So this is going to happen, right? A lot of this is going to happen. And the part that scares me is that you're going to have an upper class and a lower class. Maybe there won't even be a middle class, right? Because the upper class will control everything. And the only thing that everyone else will get is whatever they deem, I don't know, necessary, or whatever they feel like, oh, I'm going to give this to let them eat cake. They'll give us cake, right?
Sure. I think that's a realistic scenario, which is scary to think about, and I hope I'm dead.
Right. And the other negative thing is, and we're getting kind of off on too many tangents.
I know, that's why I was trying to pull us back.
Let's stop. I'm not going to get into other thing. But the only other thing, no, I'm sorry. The only other thing I wanted to say, and this goes back, this goes back to the original question,
that's
right?
What I was just about to talk about, but go ahead, take it away, Jim.
Go ahead, you could go. I'll remember.
Go ahead. No, you won't.
Okay. I don't think it's just a generational thing. It's kind of like if you were going to look at athletes, right? You're going to have many more runners that are in their 20s and 30s than you're going to have in their 70s, right? But that doesn't mean that nobody in their 70s runs.
Sure.
Okay? So as far as someone's reaction when they first talked to ChatGPT, I think it has more to do with your individual perspective on things as to what your reaction was. You have some people, and I've seen them, some people that are very young that are very negative, and you have other people that are older that are very excited and positive about it.
Right. Well,
so it's not necessarily just a generational thing.
Well, I was just thinking with the generational thing specifically, I was just thinking more, you think about your own experience, and obviously I've had the internet for like my life. Like I grew up with the internet, and obviously social media has changed and all of that. But so it was kind of, it wasn't 0 to 100 with AI for me, because I was already very technologically savvy and well informed about this stuff. And so seeing what ChatGPT, like my first interaction with ChatGPT, I don't remember specifically what it was. I just asked it something random, I think. I thought it was really cool, like a really cool thing. I could see it being a really cool tool. And I was obviously very impressed with, its capabilities and all of that. But I think, and, obviously I'm speaking for people your age and all that at this point. But I would imagine if and not you specifically, because you obviously have experience with technology your whole life. And like, that's one of your passions in life, I guess you could say, is like keeping up to date with all this stuff. So, I mean, you knew AI and all that was coming years ago. I remember you saying something about like, it's going to be here soon and all that. And I didn't really listen to you. But so I'm thinking about someone that if they're taking a normal trajectory, like not a technologically focused life, a normal trajectory, if you're born in like the 60s, right? Let's say you're born in 1960, a normal trajectory or like an average trajectory is going to be, the invention of the internet is like a huge thing and all this stuff.
Right.
And maybe in that case, you're reluctant to embrace it in some ways or whatever, and then you eventually embrace it, and then people are talking about AI, and you're like, okay, yeah, right, and all this stuff, because you lived so much of your life
without
anything like that. And all of a sudden, there's like this huge influx of stuff like this, and you're
weird.
Like overwhelmed because how is it even happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the AI thing kind of blindsided people, right?
Yes.
Like, I think most people, even if they're into computers and all, did not expect ChatGPT when it came out, right? But there are a lot of people that even simple things like Google, right? They didn't take advantage of it. We used to joke, like so many of the tickets that we would get, help desk tickets.
Yeah.
We literally just would Google this and get the answer, right?
That's what.
And there was that website, let me Google that for you.
Oh, I don't remember that.
It's probably still out there, where all it does is it's literally an animation that shows the pointer going to google.com and then the pointer moving into the search box, and they type the question, whatever question you just typed, they type the question in there and they get the answer back. So I wonder if someone created already, let me ask ChatGPT for you. Okay.
Oh, probably.
Because now it's even easier than it was with Google. I mean, that gave you a list and you still had to click on things and read them. It's even easier. And you still have people that don't use it, that don't take advantage of it.
Right.
So I don't know. I just never, that's the part that I don't understand.
Yeah, that's funny because obviously I only interned in IT for a couple of months or whatever. But whenever I would tell people, like if they were having an issue with their computer or something, like at work, when I worked for Disney or wherever, I'd be like, oh, I mean, I could look really quickly at it if you want. And they'd be like, what? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, I worked in IT. And they're like, okay, well, like, what do you know? And I'm like, honestly, most IT problems, it's a joke. But if you turn it off and back on, like, that fixes maybe 75% of the issues that you're having.
A lot of things, yeah.
And then the other, and that's what I would joke about, that literally the job of an IT person is majority of the time telling people to turn it off and back on and it's fine. And then the rest of the time you're just Googling whatever it is that they're asking you.
Well, think about it. You're a problem solver, right? That's what you're doing. You're trying to solve problems.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting because I was thinking about then which kind of, as I was thinking about, older generations versus younger generations and how they embrace it and all this stuff. Because it's also different for younger generations, like younger than I am. I know like Gen Z obviously is kind of getting in trouble for using AI so heavily in their classes and all of that stuff. But you think about it for them, and even I guess more so for like Gen Alpha, is AI is going to be like their internet, that's what they use. They don't Google stuff. They ask ChatGPT.
Right.
Like that is what they do. And so that's all they're going to know.
Well, the funny, and I'm sure it goes back even farther than this, but when they first came out with handheld calculators, it was the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like people were afraid that you were going to use a calculator to give you the answer. And so you wouldn't really be doing it yourself and you wouldn't understand it and all of that. So it went from calculators to kind of like computers and the internet in general, just being able to search for answers to now.
I think it's such a fine line because obviously the concern with ChatGPT and stuff like that, if you're using it for your school stuff, the concern is that, okay, so a reason to, an argument for it is, and that I've always felt is like, for tests when you can't use a calculator on your test, or if you can't use your notes for a test. It's like, okay, but I'm going to have this information in the real world. So you're literally just testing my memory right now is what you're testing. And that's not like on some stuff, on useful things, you're testing my ability to reason. And so that's completely different. And so I think the thing is, obviously, an argument is you should be able to use things like ChatGPT because you have access to that in the real world. However, I also think if you can because I have seen some of these children from Gen Alpha try to do math, and I'm not talking about 6-year-olds. I'm talking about 13-year-olds that can't do simple math by hand.
Right.
And you could argue, well, in what world now am I ever going to have to do simple math by hand? And I guess maybe that's an argument, but I feel like you will at some I've had access to a calculator my whole life.
Well, think about it.
And I've still had to do it at times.
Let's say someone's a carpenter, right? You're measuring things and you know what I mean? So you're subtracting and you're doing different things like that. Even things with angles and all you might need to do. And obviously, it's the same thing. You have tools that make it easier, but I think you still have to understand the concepts.
Well, exactly. That's all I'm trying to say is that you should be able to use the tools that you have, but you should be able to use them after you've already demonstrated that you are able to reason by yourself.
Right.
Or in some aspects, you can show that you can reason by yourself. You should be able to use all the tools that you have, but you also need to show that you actually understand the information.
Yeah, imagine how silly it would be if someone in a graduate level math program was doing multiplication or everything by hand.
Right, that'd be nice.
Right, they'd spend so much time doing things that everyone knows how to do. Yeah. Well, not everyone, I guess. The point we're making.
I think a good comparison would be because obviously not having the internet for older generations. When I was at Villanova, I didn't. I mean, I had to use the internet for things. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't know something or if I needed help with something, I Googled it. You know what I mean? And obviously, you couldn't do that. Mom couldn't do that when she was at college. It literally was not available.
No, you had to find a tutor.
Go to the library or find a tutor.
Right.
And so in that sense, you could be like, well, yeah, it's just easier for everyone. But I think the thing, these days, I think the thing with that is it's just about using your resources.
That's exactly it.
I'm not going to go to the library to pick out a book about quantum mechanics when I can just Google what I need to find. But what you said is
that's the right word, using your resources, right? Because it goes back to the same thing. When I was first getting into certain things with computers, like networking especially, I literally went to the bookstore.
Yes.
And I bought books on the specific type of networking that I was going to need to do, and I read the book.
Yes.
And that was your option. You couldn't really realistically go to a library because computers were evolving so fast that what you would read would be at least a couple years old,
right?
And it would be out of date,
right?
But it's the same thing now, right? To me, the internet was the same thing. Now you have another tool where you can look things up.
Yeah.
Now AI, you have another. So if you don't use that, you're crippling yourself.
But the difference that I was trying to make, or the comparison, is with what I was doing when I was just Googling stuff when I was in school. Mm-hmm. Not answers, but just information. I need to know, whatever about this topic so that I can write this paper. I don't want you to write the paper for me. Right. I just need to know this so that I can continue writing my paper.
Right.
Whereas before the internet, you had to go get a book or a tutor or whatever to get that information. So the difference between going to the library or buying a book and using Google is you're just making it more efficient, the process, right?
Right.
Getting the information more efficiently. Right. Whereas with AI, it's doing the work
it's
for
literally
you.
doing it.
So when I would Google
your
stuff,
involvement is just asking the question.
That was not, when I would Google stuff, that was not for it to do my job for me.
Right.
That was literally as a tool to help me along the way.
But you're 100% right. But then that leads to the next question. So if it's doing your job for you, right? Whether it's writing a paper or whatever, AI is doing your job for you.
Yes.
All you're doing is asking the question and it's spitting out the answer.
Yes.
Then it kind of makes sense that, okay, you're not going to have a job because they're not going to need you.
Right.
No one's going to need someone to just type the question.
Right.
Like your boss isn't going to call you into his office and give you something to do, and then you're just going to type what he just told you. In fact, you won't even type. You'll just record him saying it, and then you'll paste it into ChatGPT or whatever, and it'll get done. I mean, I guess that's the point. That's sort of takes it full circle.
It does. Maybe it was a podcast that I was listening to the other day that was talking about how jobs will not, or something. It was. They said it better than this, but however I'm going to say it is the only jobs that will be lost to AI will be people that don't know how to use AI.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, initially.
Well, yeah, we kind of already talked about all this with jobs and stuff, so we don't need to get into that.
That's the thing. If I wasn't like retired short term,
but you are. Goodbye, everyone.
That would be my thing. I would be like, I need to use this, which I would. I'll finish my thought. No, which I mean, I'd be fine because I think it's kind of fun using that. To me, I'm still learning, right? If I ask ChatGPT or whatever, for instance, to write a computer program for me, I'm not just saying, "Oh, do this so I can play this game." I would go back and I would look at the code that it wrote, right?
Well, I mean, that's also the difference between you and a lot of people, though. You just kind of how we talked about people wanting to do it because they're lazy or for money. You do it because you have a genuine interest in the process itself, which is, I would argue that not a lot of people are more interested in that. Yep. Have a great week, everyone.
Goodbye.
We'll see you on Friday.
Goodbye.
Muting you does not end the episode.
Goodbye.
I need you to end the episode.
Goodbye.
Okay.
Hold on.
All right. I'm holding.
Oh, wait, I have to start recording before I can end the episode. Okay.
All right. We're now in...
Picking up where we left off.
Listener feedback. That's right. Listener feedback.
It's our new listener feedback jingle. Should actually have jingle bells. Say that's our new listener feedback jingle.
I just had the sudden urge to not be here anymore.
Welcome to my world.
I just don't know what to do. This is a very conflicting feeling. I don't know what I'm to do. Let me rip this off.
Do we have listener feedback?
We do. And I have it right in front of me. Okay, hold on.
The best?
Hold on. Hold your horses.
Okay. Can I ask now, or do you have to say what you're going to say? Okay, come on. People can't wait for you to...